Alright, thank you so much for joining me. I'm T-Pain and welcome to Let's Learn. Feel free to use the skip ahead feature on the right side to jump to any specific sections or examples that you'd like to go to. Beep, 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 beep. Today we'll be using Python 2.7.4. You can download it from python.org/getit. So today's focus is going to be Python files and user input. This will build heavily on past lessons, so feel free to click on the right side to jump back to a previous video if anything is unclear. Alright, Python files, what are they? They're files that end in .py, .pyw, or .pyc. The .pyc is compiled Python. The other two are writable. In other words, you can change them. So why do we use Python files? Why don't we just punch everything into the shell? Because if you've noticed in the past, we've had to retype and retype stuff over and over again. This allows us to save it all in one location and edit it if we need to make any changes rather than having to retype it. So it's very flexible, save our work for future use, we don't have to type things over and over, and we can run whenever we're ready. So how do we create them? Well, it's very simple. First, let's jump to our desktop and go ahead and create a folder. And we're going to go ahead and name this folder Python Testing. Enter to jump into the folder. And now we have a nice clean folder. Right click on the inside in here. If you're using Mac, I'm not sure how you're going to do this, but you're going to go ahead and create a text document where you can edit the whole text name. So you're going to name this test.py, and you're going to change the file extension to py so that we can actually run it in Python. So yes, we want to change it. We've now created our first Python file. So we're going to right click and we can go edit with idle. Enter. So for our very first Python file, we're going to go ahead and punch in just 2 lines. The first one is going to be print space superham, because I love ham so much. Second line, type in raw underscore input, open parentheses, quotations, press enter to end this awesome script. In quotations, in parentheses, and then we're going to go ahead and save the file there, and then close it. And now what will happen is when we double click this file, it'll run, and it'll bring up a command prompt or terminal if you're on Mac, and it'll spit out exactly what it does. So just double click on it, and now we see superham is printed at the top, and then we see our misspelled awesome. That's a bummer. We see press enter to end this awesome script. Press enter, and it ends. Perfect. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and right click to enter this file again, and I'm going to shrink it down. Note that if you double clicked and it did nothing, it could be because you don't have Python connected to Python files, and that's pretty easy to do. You just right click and then you go open with, and then you choose python.exe, or you can always go to your program's directory in your C drive, and then Python typically installs on the top of the C drive. So you're going to go right here under Python 27, and then right here, python.exe. You're going to go ahead and drag that file right onto there, and it'll run. Beautiful. So in our script, we use this command, raw underscore input. What does it do? This is a way of getting user input. Here I was just using it to stop the script from running, and so that when we press enter, it would just close out. So how do we use raw input? Well, for starters, you want to typically store your values that's going to be returned from the user into a variable. So here I've typed d equals raw input, and this basically will store whatever the user inputs into the variable d. Raw underscore input is the function, and then within the parentheses of raw input, you're going to punch in whatever string you want to be output to the user to prompt them to enter something. So in this case, we said press enter to end this awesome script. Gosh, that's misspelling's bothering me. Okay. And what happens is once the user presses enter, then it continues on the script. Since there is nothing else after the script, it closes out the file. Alright, so let's try another example. That's our first ever Python game. We're going to go ahead and create another text file. Right click, and we're going to go ahead and create a text document, and we're going to punch in guessing game, if I can spell. .py. Enter. Yes, we want to change the file extension. Okay. And right click to enter with idle. To edit with idle. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is going to be a few more lines than the last one. We're going to start out by typing highest is equal to 10. Enter. Answer is equal to 7. Enter. Guess is equal to raw underscore input, open parentheses, quotations, guess a number from 0 to $D colon space in quotations, and then we're going to punch in % space highest. So for a quick second, I'm going to break up this line, but what we're doing is the highest number is equal to 10, and we want that to be plugged in to where that %D is, because it's an integer. So that's all. Next, we're going to type in while, open parentheses, int, open parentheses, guess, close parentheses, is not equal to answer, colon. So it's basically saying while the integer value of the guess, or whatever the user inputs, is not equal to the answer, then we're going to keep running this script. Enter. If, open parentheses, int, open parentheses, guess, close parentheses, is less than answer, colon. So as long as their guess, when it's converted from a string into an integer, is less than the answer, enter. Print, space, answer is higher, close parentheses, enter. And then we're going to do else, enter, print, answer is lower. So this is basically saying, hey, if their guess is higher than the answer, then print answer is higher. Otherwise, print the answer is lower. Perfect. And after this, we're going to close off the loop by copying this line right here, and I'm holding Shift and typing and pressing the N key on the keyboard, Control C, and then I'm going to press Tab once to indent, and then paste it right there. So this way, the user is constantly being prompted because we have the condition of the while loop right here. As long as the answer or their guess is not equal to the answer, we're going to keep asking them to input more and more. And finally, if they've exited the loop, then we're going to go type in raw underscore input, open parentheses, you are a winner face. Exclamation points, close quotations, and close parentheses. And this is merely to stop our program at the very end, so it doesn't just exit and we don't know what happened. Perfect. Save it. Okay, so we're now ready to run our script, and this time we're going to run it within idle. So the way we do that is go run, and then in the drop-down, click Run Module, or F5, the keyboard shortcut. Okay, and now we've got it working. So it says, guess a number from, because I didn't put a dang space in there. Well, guess a number from 0 to 10. I'm going to type in 4. Enter. Answer is higher. Perfect. So let's guess 8. And I'm guessing purposely the wrong answer here. So now we type in 7, and it should end our script. Perfect. It says, you are a winner face. Enter, and then it closes out our script. And now it's done. Perfect. Our script works beautifully. Alright, so now we're going to talk about importing modules. And this is a way of getting functions, classes, and variables from other files. So why do we use this? It's a way of accessing other libraries for stuff that you may need. So the way we do this is we use the keyword import, and then we name the file or library that we wish to import from. You can also use from module import some specific thing. There'll be an example of that later on. So for now, the reason that we're going to be using this is because our script, if we open it up again, is very bland because the game we already know the answer to. So we're going to go ahead and fix this so it's actually a much more interesting game. So when you import files or libraries, it's important to place them at the beginning of the file. So we're going to go ahead and go to the very beginning and type enter, enter to get a couple spaces in there. And then we're going to type in import random. And then right here, we're going to edit this to where it says 7. We're going to delete that and instead type random dot rand, R-A-N-D, range, all one word. And then we're going to punch in highest, the variable that we just declared above. So what this is saying is that from the module random, which we imported above, we're going to access the function called rand range. And what this function does is it gets a number from 0 to whatever the highest value we punch in here. In this case, it's 10. So we're going to get a random number and stick it in our answer. Now, let's go ahead and save the file and go ahead and run it. Go ahead and run module, enter. Okay, so now I have no idea what the number is going to be. So I'm going to start out by pressing 5. Enter. Answer is lower. All right, so maybe 3. Enter. I'm a winner. Cool. All right, so now we're going to discuss how to break up your code into separate files, modules, or chunks based on what they do. This will prevent you from having to scroll up and down forever in your code. It makes it much more manageable, reusable, recyclable, and just all around, it's a great practice to get into. Alright, so we've got 2 separate files and we want to import from one of them. How do we do that? You do this just as before with the import and then the file name at the top of the script. Now note that the file that you're importing from must be in the same directory as the other file. So going back to our folder, we have 2 files here, test and guessing game. If I wanted to access any functions from test file, it has to be right next to it in the same directory. Alright, so let's go ahead and try another example. We're going to right click and create another file and go new text file. This one we're going to call ph.py. Enter. Yes, I want to change it. Edit with idle. At this point we're getting pretty good at this, huh? And this is going to be a really short function. We're just going to type def print ham with the H uppercased. Open close parentheses and then put a colon. Enter. Print space ham, because I love ham so much. Save it, and now we're done with this file. So go ahead and close it. We're going to go ahead and right click and create another text file, but this one we're going to name main.py. So a good habit to get into is to name your main file. That's going to be executing all your main actions that all the classes are going to be imported into, whatever. It should be named main or something similar, so that you know very clearly which one you should start with when you're coding and stuff. This is merely my practice. This is not everybody else's, but it's something I'd strongly recommend for beginners. All right, so I've got my main file open. I'm going to start out by typing import space capital PH, because I named it PH up here. Enter, enter. And now I'm going to create a simple loop that just executes the function within PH over and over again, and PH stands for print ham, in case you're wondering. So for I in range 10, if I can type 10, colon enter, PH dot print ham, open close parentheses, because we didn't have any arguments within it. Enter, and then I'm just going to backspace type in raw underscore input. And in the quotations, I'm going to put end of line. A reference to Tron, if any of you guys catch that one. Okay. Go ahead and save the file. And let's go ahead and run it. Perfect. And notice here that it punched in ham 10 different times. Perfect. And then it printed end of line at the end. And now we can just press enter and it ends. Beautiful. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Great job keeping up today. Definitely take a few minutes to investigate these final examples, as they really do have some thought-provoking concepts within them. Please leave me a comment below if any of this helped you, and please do me a huge favor and subscribe to my channel. It would really mean a lot to me. And thank you so much for your support, and keep the dream alive!